Hello, everyone. For those of you who may not know, and I'm assuming you've all seen this video, this is Malang Carbino Kwanyin Bol. He has again declared a rebellion, and so this has become a general trend. Now, I'm not going to play the video. You can watch it. It's very short. And one of the things he was doing, he was reading from a prepared text. I just wanted to make some comments on this. Now, this is the document that he released. It's very poetic. It's very short. One thing we have to acknowledge is that many people are disenchanted with the system and the leadership of President Salva Kiir Mayardit. So this is not something new. We've seen this with Nial Deng Nial, we've seen this with General Deng Quairod, now Malang Carbino. Now, there's nothing new in that. And I've said this, many people within Juba, even people who work for the government, they are also disenchanted. But they have to save face. They cannot come out and criticize the government. And you shouldn't do that if you work for a government. You don't criticize, especially if you are from the same political party. You don't. But this is where I have a problem with this. Most of these leaders form their own rebellions. And it's not just rebellion. They form their own political and military movements. That is what I don't understand. If they all cared about the people of South Sudan and all they wanted and all they want is to improve the system, then I don't understand why it is necessary for each one of them to form his or her movement and a military wing. That I don't understand. If they actually cared, what they could have done is to join movements that already exist. 1983. One of the things John Garang emphasized was that all the movements that were outside, they had to be united under one leadership to be able to mount a respectable, cohesive liberation struggle. But the moment one comes out, expresses dissatisfaction and disenchantment with the system, but then forms his or her own rebellion, it makes us question the intention of these leaders. Is it about the people of South Sudan, or is this about you? That is what I don't understand. Because the moment you form a rebellion, your own rebellion, with a movement, a political wing, and a military wing, it ceases to become about the people of South Sudan. It becomes about you. But if you express dissatisfaction with the system and say, look, I want to change the system to be able to work for the people of South Sudan, and I don't really care what position I'm given, I'm going to work toward changing the system. Then all these rebellions, whether the one under Deng Quairat, whether under Malong, whether under Boy Nyang, or the political parties like the one of Nial Deng Nial, the one of Pagana Mom, they're too many. If they were serious to be seen as working for the interest of the people of South Sudan, they could just come under one movement, not a coalition, because UPA is a coalition of different military and political wings. Just one liberation movement to mount a credible, respectable resistance to the system in Juba. But the moment you come out on your own and form your own rebellion, it becomes like a joke. It becomes like a cliche. And I don't think the South Sudanese would take you seriously. And I don't think Kir Mayardit is going to take you seriously. This has to end. Anyone who is in Juba or anyone in any part of the world who wants to join a rebellion or form a rebellion, please don't do that. Join existing one. Otherwise, this is going to be a joke. And I think it has started to become a joke. And the moment you take people's aspirations and become facetious about them, you trivialize the problem. So when you come out and say all these nice things like what Nial Deng Nial was saying, what Malang is saying, what General Deng Quairot was saying, what the rest of the people outside, what IO is saying, what NAS is saying, the moment you take that and trivialize it, then the suffering of the people also becomes trivialized. So when you go out and express all these nice things and the failure of the system, no one will take you seriously because it has become about making your name become a commander-in-chief of this rebel movement or this. This has to end. So I know each and every human being has his or her own ego to protect. You have your own vision of the world and a vision of how things should be done. But at the end of the day, prioritize the people of South Sudan. They've never been prioritized. And that is the challenge. If Kir Mayardit had prioritized the people of South Sudan, he would have built schools, he would have built roads, it would have provided security, it would have traveled the country, even at the risk of his life. Because this is a man who spent his life in the bush, and Nyanyawan and the SPLA war. So he's not new. He was not afraid to die. Now I know he's becoming frail, but that's besides the point. So all this has to stop, please. And my last message to Adud Mankai, you're close to your dad. This has to end because the people have become disenchanted. I'm not sure whether you see all this. Even people who are in your backyard, they're all disenchanted. Kukene, Jakabe Dedi. This rebellion, Kutong Kungo, try to tell your dad to call a national dialogue, a national constitutional dialogue. Release Dr. Riek Machar and call them and the rest of opposition forces outside. Let them come home. Our people have suffered for a long time. I watched, and you should watch this on YouTube. Abel Aliad was talking in 1972.
We have not provided for about 1 million people. 200,000 to 250,000 are already coming in. We shall expect in 2 months' time about 750,000 from the bush and in the surrounding countries. So we have a problem of food too.
Do you think, is your government organization now equipped to handle this big influx of returnees?
We do not have the resources to do so. The country is a poor country. We have not made adequate preparations for the consequence of the agreement. In fact, the agreement had come. Even the people in the country, it's a sudden surprise.
And a happy surprise.
And a happy surprise. We do not have the potentialities, we do not have the resources, and we have been relying very heavily on help from international organizations and governments.
When they had just signed the agreement, and then the refugees and displaced people were coming back to Southern Sudan at the time. One of the things Abel Aliad said makes me really sad even today, because what he said is exactly what is happening in South Sudan. He was talking about the destitution of the people, lack of resources, and the people were coming to a system that had no resources. He had no money to be able to provide for the people. It was new. The government was not set up. So if our people are like frozen in time, that makes me really sad. If you watch that, it's like Abel Aliad was speaking today. But he was saying this in 1972. The same thing that was happening to our people in 1972 is the same thing happening to our people today. And those of us who grew up in this situation of war, as kids, were running from place to place, from Sudan to Ethiopia, from Ethiopia to Sudan, from Sudan to Uganda, Uganda to Kenya. And we dodged bullet, we were bombed by Antonov. So we know the suffering of the people, but we still see this more than 20 years later. Dude, this has to end. I know it is difficult. I know these old men, they don't take us seriously, but try. You have the power to be able to say this has to end. The legacy of your father is down the drain. The only thing he can talk about is the referendum and the independence of South Sudan. Yes, he can talk about being able to keep the liberation movement cohesive, because he was central. Otherwise, if he had left, like those of Carbino, I think SPLA as a movement would have disintegrated. But after independence, not even after independence, from 2005 to the present, he has failed miserably. He has nothing to show. Our people are killing themselves. The war has not ended, and he promised time and again that we're not going back to war. He's now keeping quiet. People in Jonglei are just uncertain, and people are traumatized. Is the White Army and the IO coming or not? Is Juba going to fail? People are just uncertain, and they are not paid. Soldiers are going to war to die, and they're not paid. This cannot continue, and someone has to be an adult and make those decisions, because you're close to the seat of power, or you have the power to be able to end this. Call the national dialogue. You cannot be wrong about telling your father our people have suffered. Let us just do away with this ego or the hatred of Dr. Riek Machar. He's just someone you do not like politically, and you cannot use your hatred of him to destroy the country. If people like Malang, Karbina Kwanyanabal, people like Nial Deng Nial are living, do not take this lightly, because people are disenchanted. They may smile at you in Juba, but they're angry. And this, as you know, and as history shows, does not end well. Thank you.